Hey guys, welcome to lesson 5. In this case, we'll be looking into the illustration, drawing, and composition. I'm working on the same document that we created for the color palette. Remember it? What I'm doing now is drawing a series of rectangles to make a kind of sketch for our final composition. Right now, I'm drawing the columns, and the bigger rectangle will be the canvas on which our composition will be. Like a A4 format, more or less. And then this weird thing I'm drawing here above the columns represents the illustration. I'm going to use another color to distinguish between the illustration and the rest of the composition. After finishing the first draft, let's make some copies. We're going to use these copies to modify and play around with different options to place our illustrations in the composition. We need to bear in mind that the most important thing after the illustration is the title. Why? Well, it's really important and a decisive element for sparking the public's interest. Therefore, it has to be eye-catching, and its position will depend on the level of importance in the text. It can be placed in different ways. Okay, we can use more or less columns, or even decide to put the text in a single column. In my case, for instance, I'll opt for using 2 columns in order to divide the text, and also to streamline the space and layout. Well, back to what I was saying. Guys, don't forget that the title, it is the heading and the subheading are also quite important. Let me show you a draft of how I want to do it. So here we have the heading. I'm going to draw it. Okay. I'm doing it quite big. And then the subheading. And here below this rectangle, which will be the illustration, and I think that this is the best place to put it, because after the heading, the illustration serves as an introduction of the text. So it's necessary to catch the reader's attention right at the beginning, okay? Well, this is the color palette I finally chose, which is the last one we saw in the previous lesson. And as I mentioned, I like it because of the opposition between warm and cold colors. Also, I think it's a good option not only because it's easy on the eye, but also because it helps to make the illustration flashier, eye-catching, right? I think this contrast between different colors will look great on the illustration. So, okay. This is the schema I've decided to follow for the final composition. I've divided the text into 2 columns. I positioned the illustration at the top of the canvas. And at the bottom will be the page number, and then the heading and subheading. Okay, let's move on to the next issue. I think at this point it would be useful to do a brainstorming session, in this case related to coffee. Let's think, what does coffee instill you? Well, perhaps something related to social relationships, relaxing, books, rain. Also with night, because sometimes we need coffee to stay awake all night. With chill. As I was saying, something social, like having a cup of coffee with friends. It may be also related to dessert time and so on. There are lots of things that can be connected to coffee. In my case, these are the concepts I came up with, and now I need to pick only 2 of them to make the illustration. Let's say that in your case, the topic you choose is, don't know, the weather. So you need to try to think of what a sunny day means to you or those activities you can do on a sunny day, for example. It is how you feel when it's sunny. Okay? So what you have to do is take the main topic of the article and from it try to think on those sensations or stuff that it instills you. I don't know. Mm, if it's an article about dogs, the brainstorming would be generally as follows: pets, go for a walk, family, friendship, and so on. From this brainstorming session, we want to get concepts related to the main topic. Well, this way you'll get more ideas. Well, as you can see, I made 2 sketches, and this one I think will be the final sketch for my illustration because for me, coffee especially means energy, something positive, which stimulates you. That's why I've related it to surf, because it reminds me of a rush of adrenaline and energy. It's like a metaphor, like surfing the waves and surfing coffee. So after finishing the sketch, we're ready for the next lesson.